Welcome back to another exciting episode of 60 Plus Uncensored. I am your host, Seb Fry, and today's guest is Vicki Gold, retired physical therapist, author, educator, and proof that aging well is not about chasing youth, but learning how to move, think, and live with more awareness. You know, Vicki turned 81 in September of 2025, and she brings a lifetime of wisdom from her work in physical therapy, mind-body practices, personal growth, and healthy aging. She has studied and practiced everything from yoga, Tai Chi, Pilates, Alexander Technique, Feldenkrais, to transformational work through Landmark Worldwide. Today, we're going to talk about what it really feels like to be 81, how movement and mindset work together, why falls and fear don't have to define aging, and how Vicki's ABC mind-body system can help people look, feel, and function better at every age. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Vicki, thank you so much for joining me here today on 60 Plus Uncensored. I am very excited to have you on the show. I know we're going to have a great time. But for those in my audience who are not yet familiar with Vicki Gold, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and just who is Vicki Gold and what are you all about?
Well, oh boy, in one word, I am first of all a retired physical therapist. So I established my professional rank. I am now located in the foothills of North Carolina. Although most of my life was spent in New York, I did do some traveling in Brazil and lived in California for a while. And besides my training as a traditional let me back up. Besides my traditional training as a physical therapist, traditional medical training, I've also had a very eclectic background when it comes to mind-body strategies like yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi, Alexander and Feldenkrais techniques. And so I eventually just consider myself an expert in mind-body fitness and well-being.
All right. Well, that's incredible. Now, so we met a few weeks ago at the National Aging in Place Council conference, and you were giving a talk there. And I'm not sure how it happened, but you said, like, guess how old I am? And I said, I think you're like 60. And you said, no, I'm 81. And I think I said, like, bullshit or like, no way or like, that's not true. Because you are probably the youngest seeming 81-year-old person I've ever met in my whole entire life. You just like you look like you're like a ballerina or like a gymnast or something like that. Like you move like with like such fluidity, right? And you just so I guess I'll just start
Did
like
I
what's your
run up
secret?
and hug you? Wait a minute. Did I run up and hug you when you
No, but you did run up
reacted
and
to
hug me. But I mean, you were just moving around. You're flapping around. I mean, like you were just like going the whole time, right? You know. And what's your secret? How do you do it? How are you able to be in such great condition at 81? You just, I mean, what's the secret?
Yeah, and to be honest, it's 81 and a half. I turn 82, God willing, in September. But I think, in all honesty, I say I never had children, and I know they can be a blessing and they can help you stay young, but they can also age you, depending on the child. I say immaturity, just really having a youthful attitude. So attitude's a big part of being able to stay more youthful. And so I said that attitude, genetics helps, and no really bad habits. So I've been blessed with, good eating habits, a health awareness over time. So it all kind of worked together to get me where we are today, where I am today.
Yeah, they say genetics, and so I read that Ageless Body, Timeless Mind by Deepak Chopra. God forbid we talk about Deepak Chopra because now he's like an Epstein, like amigo or whatever, I guess. So, did you hear about that? Yeah, Kim and Epstein were good buddies apparently. So,
Yeah,
did you hear about that?
it's probably one of those things that I
filtered
let
it
go.
out. Right,
Yeah,
let go. Anyway, so, but whatever. Ageless Body, Timeless Mind. It was a very interesting book, and I read it a long time ago, back when I used to read books, back before there were audiobooks, actually. And I guess there were books on tape, but those were like seminars usually, not like like nonfiction works like that. Anyway,
Right.
he said that yeah, genetics plays a part, but not that big of a part, really. I
Right.
mean, like there is
Yeah.
something to that, but so much of it has to do with lifestyle, right? Ultimately like diet and exercise, and so
And attitude. Seb, I
mindset.
keep coming back to, yeah, that's why my publisher, and I guess we'll get a chance to talk about the book at some point, but my publisher, when we were coming up for, with a title for it, said, Vicki, it's about, I think I had said mindfulness. And she said, Vicki, you're talking mindset. So there's apparently a difference. And I do believe it makes a big difference.
Oh yeah, well I think mindset is I don't want to say everything because it's obviously not everything, but like
Right.
it oftentimes I think is the key factor in success or failure ultimately in various aspects of your life. So I want to talk about mindset because I know that's really central to like what you do. But before we talk about mindset, I want to go back, way back to Vicki from 60 years ago. What made you get into becoming a physical therapist? Like, how did
Oh
you
boy.
first get the thought to do that work?
So when I was about 6 or 7, my brother was born, and my brother was profoundly mentally retarded, developmentally disabled. He wound up being an awesome personality. He lived to just short of his 70th birthday, which is unheard of. So I immediately had a sensitivity to disability. And then when I was 10, one of my girlfriends, and this was in the Bronx, was one of the last victims of polio, and she became quadriplegic in
Oh my
that.
God.
And so I became very comfortable around people that had some form of disability. And then the cherry on top was when I was 15, and I was at camp. I was at a summer camp, and my camp was visited by another camp that served physically challenged, physically disabled children. And I was totally at ease with them. I mean, after all, I'd been exposed to disability from a young age. And one of the counselors said to me when she saw how comfortable I was around these other children, "What are you planning to do when you grow up?" And which I've never done. But but somewhere I got the idea of social work, and I had no idea what a social worker does. I probably thought I was going to be planning parties or something. But she said, "Have you considered physical therapy?" And that was it. So at age 15, I chose my career and never looked back.
Oh wow, that is incredible. So
Yeah,
not too many people. A lot of people like think I'm going to become a veterinarian or whatever at 15, right? And then they go on to
yeah.
become a car salesman or whatever, right? I mean, like it's very uncommon for someone to have that that idea from such a young age. And how long did you actually like make your way in the world
Practice
as an actual physical therapist? Yeah.
over 50 years, and the only reason that I stopped, well, yeah, because I graduated college with an undergrad degree in 66, did an extra year of training. And in 67, you could do that. And then went on to get my master's. But from 67, I started work as a therapist. And the only reason I stopped in 2019 was because I got married and relocated from New York to North Carolina, and my New York license was not going to be valid here. And so it was 50 some odd years of actually practicing physical therapy. I can also tell you, Seb, that I was never at one job longer than 2 years. So I practiced in all kinds of settings, and actually wound up in about California, worked in Brazil. So I had a wonderful background of multiple settings.
Yeah, so I mean, I was born in 1971 for those keeping score. So this is a while back. I wasn't around in 1967, but was it unusual for women to be physical therapists in 1967?
I think it was more unusual for men, believe it or not. Just like
Really?
nursing,
Oh,
nursing was more considered women's work, and same with physical therapy. Physical therapy evolved from the nursing profession, and I guess after as the wars, World War I, World War II, nurses became more rehabilitation workers, and eventually it evolved to a separate profession. You may have heard of Howard Rusk. I worked at the Rusk Institute in New York. But anyway, so no, it wasn't unusual for women.
And so, but when I think of physical therapists today, like I think of like big brawny men who are like, like moving you around and stuff like that. Is that, do I have that wrong? Wouldn't be surprising if I did.
Yeah. And actually, we run the gamut because physical therapists work with populations from newborns to end of life, from the frail elderly to the elite athlete. So any place that movement is involved, which is life, there is a physical therapy specialty. I don't know if that answers your question.
That answers my question.
You'll have the big brawny ones. I'm laughing because I remember one very large patient that I had at one point. He was obese, and he had already lost part of one foot, and the other one was part of that was being taken away. And he told me, he said, "Vicki, when you walked up to me and you said you were my therapist," he said, "Oh my God, I'll never walk again." But we have our ways. Even us less brawny people have our ways to get you moving.
Right, exactly. Well, I remember like a million years ago, like 30 years ago, I was in Thailand and I got a Thai massage, and I was much bigger than the person, and like she just like threw me around like nothing, right? I mean, like I was like, wow, my God, like you. I mean, I guess it's like a judo or jujitsu, right? Like it's like how you move, not so much mass,
Body
right?
mechanics, yeah.
Body mechanics.
Body mechanics. So,
Right.
as a matter of fact, I'm gonna jump in and just mention to you and to people that what I created and what my book is about is a 5-step system, and part of it is learning the importance of good posture, the importance of what I call conscious breathing. Another thing called centering, so your mind and body are working together. But then there's this thing called the basic moves, where you learn how to use good body mechanics when you're bending, lifting, carrying people. And what was the last one? What was the last one? No, slow motion. That was one. So I just went off on a tangent.
No, that's a good tangent, because I want to talk about all of those things, because I think that all of those things are the reason why you are the way you are. And at the talk that I saw you do, you were talking about posture. I think that was the main thing. And, your posture obviously is excellent. My posture obviously is horrible, and I'm going to suffer for it. But before we talk about the book, what made you write the book?
I think from the time I started learning things, what came up right alongside of it was wanting to teach. And so at some point in my career, I started, and I had an opportunity to teach. So I just was gathering information, gathering skills, techniques, insights. And at some point I started putting them into documents on my computer. And this went on for years and years. And finally, when my 80th birthday was approaching back in 24, I told a woman who I knew was going to be my publisher, I said, "Stacy," her name was Stacy, is Stacy Aronson. "Stacy, tell me to stop talking about writing this book and let's set some deadlines." So it's been brewing for as many years as I can remember, Seb.
Right. You always had a book in you, and it's just coming out. It's emerging like a butterfly from a cocoon, something like that.
And I think a lot of people, from what people I've spoken to, a lot of people say, "Oh, I've got this book in me," and at some point you've got to maybe get somebody to draw a line for you or set deadlines with you and just get it done. You probably have a book in you too, Seb, if you haven't written it already.
I've written a book. I have written a book.
Oh, okay.
It's called Get It Sold, and I wrote the book. But then I had AI write me another book, and I haven't even read it yet, but I need to. It's like 300 pages. It's a big, beefy book. I would tell you, but it's such a great topic. I know if I let it out there that someone would immediately copy it. It's genius. No one's thought of it before, but I will one day publish that book, and I know you're going to want to read it. Everyone will. So, and actually, speaking of which, the idea for the book came from reading Wealthy and Well Known. So yeah, because Wealthy and Well Known says you got to have a book, right? And I do have a book, but it's not about what I want to talk about, which is kind of what we're talking about. Actually, it's kind of related to positive, healthy aging. So okay, so you have this book, and I don't think we've mentioned the title of the book. It's Aging Safely, Wisely, and Well. Right?
I just happen to have one with me. Yeah, so it's Aging Safely, Wisely, and is that right? Aging Safely, Wisely, and Well, a movement and mindset guide for older adults.
Right, and I have that book, and it's on my pile of books that I have to read. So, okay, so it's a movement and mindset guide for older adults. And you just said there's like 5 things in there. You said mindset, good posture, conscious breathing, basic moves in slow motion. Are those the 5 things?
Yeah, slow motion and the basic moves if I go in sequence. Yes.
Right, okay.
And so essentially what I like to tell people is my approach to teaching, even when I was the director of a physical therapist assistant program at LaGuardia Community College in New York. And one of the things I would say to the students is, especially when they get frustrated because, oh my God, how are we going to learn all this information? And I would say, you're not going to learn it all, but what we're doing is planting seeds that you are going to continue to water throughout your professional career. So the essence of the book is really to give people a basic foundation that they can build on. And I did that with 2 ABC systems. Do you happen to remember one of them?
No, of course not. I can't remember anything.
So the first one was the ABC mind-body system, and those ABCs were alignment, which was all about the posture. What is it? Why is it important? How do you achieve it? The B is conscious breathing, because you breathe automatically. However, when you turn your attention to your breathing and you make it conscious, now you have it as a tool for relaxation and for increased energy, stress reduction. And then the C is centering, and that I use to mean mind and body working together. How many times do you have an accident or an injury or make a mistake because your mind is one place and your body's doing something else? So again, you can just build off. You learn these basic ABCs and then you start integrating them. The whole idea is to integrate them into your everyday life. So it's not an exercise book. I always make that point.
Yeah, but I mean, exercise is very important. So, like, we were talking about posture, right? Like, I slouch all the time. I mean, I'm so screwed up. I got herniated discs in my neck. I'm going to be a wreck when I'm 81, if I even make it that far. But like, I've always thought, and maybe I'm wrong, is that, in fact, probably I'm wrong, is that like posture, like you need to have good core strength, right? Like it takes like like right now I'm sitting upright, which is probably how I should be sitting all the time. You appear to be sitting upright right now, but normally I'm like this, like I'm just slouched down right now. So how bad is it to like be like sitting like this versus like this? I mean, like, what are the pros and cons? Or are there only cons of slouching?
Okay, well, the pros of slouching, I can't think of any, quite honestly.
Right, exactly. It's bad, and that's how I do all my life long. Okay, so what? So how do you not slouch? Like, 'cause, like, you don't slouch. I mean, like, that's the thing. You look at you. I mean, like, you're just like a, you're like a mannequin or whatever, right? I mean, like, you're just how you should
Okay.
be.
So I'm actually remembering a training that I did with a gentleman by the name of Robin McKenzie, who completely transformed our sense of what good posture was. When I started as a physical therapist, we were taught to flatten the low back, so we would do things to actually take away the curve that's in the arch of the back normally, and we would be doing things to try to flatten it out. So in his training, I learned that good posture really involves supporting that arch in the back. As far as how to achieve it, I use a lot of mental imagery. That's in the book. And if I said to you, Seb, I once changed your name.
Thank you
Seb.
for, yeah. That's when I had pet peeves. People call me Seth. I just want to kill them, but
No, Seb. No. So even if you close your eyes, Seb, and you think lengthen, open, and the reason for open is it takes away a lot of the tension that the average person will tend to have in the neck and shoulders. So we lengthen, open, make space in the chest, and as you hear these suggestions, you find that your arms kind of drop, shoulders drop down and back. Lengthen, open, space in the chest, and then the chin, or depending on how old you are, the chins retract, and the head rides back on the trunk. And just using those suggestions, your body more easily goes into a good postural alignment. For strengthening the core, because you were absolutely right about that, a very simple thing to do while you're sitting is have your feet flat on the floor. For me, I often have to move forward in a chair because I'm short. So if I sit back in a chair, my feet wind up dangling. You sit in your chair so that your feet are flat on the floor. You lengthen, open, you make space in the chest, chin or chins retract, crown of the head rides up. I forgot to say that. And then you press down on your feet as if you were trying to push down to, let's see, the basement if you had one. And at the same time, you think of pressing the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. And you'll notice I'm talking, so you know I'm breathing, but you want to make sure that you're breathing, because what this is an isometric that's strengthening your core, and all you're doing is sitting and just consciously realigning yourself, exerting this isometric pressure, and bingo, you're doing strengthening as you're sitting in your chair. How do you feel, Seb?
I felt really great when I was doing the breathing, which makes me want to talk about breathing.
Okay.
But before we talk about breathing, I want to talk about this core business again. So, like the reason I slouch is because, you just get tired after
Habits.
a
Bad
minute
habits.
or two. You think it's just habits. You think it's just mindset. Like if I have a mindset, I'm just going to have good posture all day long, and I keep on telling myself that I will have good posture. I mean, because it's not physically, like I'm not panting, like, sitting up like this, and it doesn't really take that much energy versus slouching to do it. So you really think that it's not musculature, that even if I'm like a couch potato for the last 30 years, I can just start sitting up correctly?
I think they need to work together. Your mindfulness, your awareness of your posture, your desire to have better posture, and then doing the things that will develop the core. And that's why I like this what I call, I didn't come up with the name foot press exercise, but that's why it is so beneficial, because you bring to your attention, I want better posture, align, breathe, lengthen, open, space in the chest, chin tuck, crown of the head up, press. And you just work that into your several times a day. And I guess that's what I've done, which is why I sit with good posture without having to think about it. It's just become automatic.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it has become automatic for you.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I hear core, right? And I think, okay, I have to go do crunches. I have to go do like the weight machines at like the gym and all that. Like no, that's not true.
No crunches. No crunches. First of all, for your good posture, the abdominals, it's the deeper abdominal muscles, because there are at least 2 layers of abdominal muscles. It's the deeper ones that need to be toned. And crunches are not, they actually curve your spine. And that's not the way the abdominals need to function to hold you straight.
So what kind of exercises should you do
And
other
hold
than
on.
just sitting correctly?
Let me back up also. You may not have an issue with osteoporosis, but there are women and men where osteoporosis becomes more of a potential issue for them. Crunches are dangerous for anybody with any degree of osteoporosis, because I mean, it's hard. I'm not going to lie down here and do a crunch for you. But if you picture this being the body, and when you go to do a crunch, you're compressing the vertebrae, all right, the front of the vertebrae. Can you picture that?
Uh-huh. Yep, I sure can.
Yeah. So, and if you think of people who have osteoporosis, who, hi, you picture people who have osteoporosis who have not been able to manage their posture, that's where you get that hunched back.
Okay, so
And potential fractures.
so if I wanted to work on my core strength, though, if I did, I mean, because you should exercise more or less every day, right? So like if I was to find myself in a gymnasium and I wanted to like improve my core strength, which is so important, what should I do? Should I get on a balance board? Should I do Pilates? I mean, like, what do you recommend?
Yes. If you could do Pilates, that would be awesome, because all the activities there start with the engaging the core. There are machines that allow you to use the abdominals, to strengthen the abdominals without causing that compression. And can sit-ups be fine for strengthening? Yes. But do they guarantee better posture? No. So they are not for core conditioning.
But Pilates is for core conditioning. Is that the big thing about
absolutely.
Pilates? Is it really is?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, also, I believe you mentioned yoga earlier. Is that good for core conditioning? Is that something worthwhile doing, or?
Yoga is wonderful. But the thing is, some of the postures, you need to be careful, because I'm coming back to that concern about osteoporosis. And so yes, it can be good. And my attitude is that whatever exercise you do, if you integrate and learn to integrate your ABCs, alignment, breathing, centering, and then do the movement, you are going to get more core conditioning than if you just do a movement or something and you're not preparing your body, preparing mind and body by aligning, breathing, centering, do the exercise, whatever exercise. I don't know if that's answering, Seb.
It kind of answered my question. Yes, I mean, sounds like Pilates way better than yoga for core strength, and that's good. I don't like yoga.
Yes.
I mean, I shouldn't say that. I mean, like, it's okay. I don't know. It's just like I guess I don't bend that well, or just not comfortable. But I've never tried Pilates, so I hear it's great.
Well, let me say something about yoga. One of the benefits of yoga, even if it's not core conditioning per se, is the fact that it does create more of an integration of mind and body working together. For someone who's high energy, like someone I'm talking to right now, it might also create a kind of calmness. So it's very valuable. I wouldn't turn to it just for core conditioning, though.
Okay. All right. Well, so the other thing I wanted to ask was Tai Chi, right? I mean, like, or what do you call it? Is that Tai Chi? That's what it is, right?
Yes,
the guys in the
yes.
park doing this, right? So, like,
Yes.
that is good, bad. What do you think?
It's lovely. It's lovely. Again, you're going to have more of the benefit of the mind and body working together and more movement control because the movement is slow. So again, the fourth step of my 5-step ABC system is slow motion, and the benefit of improved balance. Tai Chi they've actually done a lot of research on the benefits of Tai Chi for balance. And that's one of the big things that people want to have besides improved core conditioning. I mean, yes, it's wonderful to have a core and good posture, but if you're falling on your face, when you walk, or because your balance isn't great. So Tai Chi is wonderful for that. I will tell you, though, there are Tai Chi programs I've seen, and there are people doing the movements, and they're going through the movements, and yet their posture is bad. So, yes, align, breathe, center, and then do your Tai Chi movements or hula or whatever else, whatever other movement you're going to do, but get your posture and your breathing going.
Yes. So, okay, so we did that breathing exercise a few minutes ago, and I felt great. And what I felt actually is I felt calm and like de-stressed because like this conversation is lovely, but I have all these things going on today outside of our chat here that are stressing me out, and that happens every day and almost every day. And stress is a killer. That book, The Ageless Body, Timeless Mind, actually. So, like he said, cigarettes are the number one life-shortening thing. Number two is stress. He really thought that stress was like a major killer, and I just felt like a lot less stressed out. Like,
Seb,
even now, I just feel
get
that stress
ready.
leaving my body. Okay.
Seb, get ready, because we didn't even do the breathing exercise. We just did the alignment. And I drew your attention to breathing, but now we can actually do what I teach in the book. And that is, first of all, conscious breathing, which you just did, breathing in through the nose. And believe it or not, there are people who, for whatever reason, tend to breathe through the mouth. So
Mouth breathers. God.
Mouth breathers, yeah. So we encourage breathing through the nose, and of course that's where the air gets filtered and it gets hydrated and moistened and whatever. But instead of focusing on the breathing in portion of breathing, I emphasize slow, prolonged exhalations. So if you take a little sniff in, and then I'm going to make a hissing sound as we blow out. Slow, prolonged. So you put more of your emphasis on a slow, prolonged exhalation. And I don't get hung up on breathe in 4 times 4, blow out times 6. Each one of us has a different capacity as we exhale. And the slower and the longer you can exhale, what you are doing is clearing stale air out of the lungs with your exhalation, right? It's like squeezing the water out of a sponge. And the more you get squeezed out, when you finally do take that breath in, if you picture holding that sponge under running water, it'll just soak up the water. When you go to breathe in again, you soak in the oxygen. But the most important thing is that slow, prolonged exhalation. Clearing the lungs of stale air or residual air, which makes more room in the lungs for oxygenated air, which is where your energy comes from. And exhalation, blowing out, is the relaxation phase of breathing. That's where your stress reduction happens. So if you're feeling stressed, don't even think of breathing. Just think of, it sounds funny, just think of slow, prolonged exhalations.
Okay. So how I mean, should I be doing this multiple times a day, in the mornings or at night, or is there like...
Whenever you think of it. And this is one of those things you don't want to be doing all the time. You'll be hyperventilating. You'd be passing out on the floor. But with everything I say and recommend, the whole idea is to weave it into your everyday activities. If you catch yourself, like with the day you're having today, you catch yourself being stressed or going into hyper mode, just stop, blow out, and go about your business.
So how long?
It doesn't matter how many times.
But how long?
Doesn't matter
like
how long.
A minute, 5 minutes. I mean, like, no, it doesn't matter. Several times.
I don't want people to get hung up on, am I doing it the right number of times? Listen to your body. I guess that's the other message, is listen to your body. What I have found, I guess, in myself and in others, is if you do something that feels good to your body, it's like your body is getting some kind of benefit from it, your body's going to say, I want more of that. So you're not going to be thinking about it. You're not going to have to think about it. Your body's going to say, oh, I really felt good when I did that. I need to do that again. Oh, I'm noticing I'm slouching up. So it's just woven into your day. And eventually you'll just be as calm as a cucumber all the time. Not really.
Just like you. I want to be just like you when I grow up. So, all right. Well, these sound like, I mean, you just said make it a habit, essentially, right? So habits are kind of easy to break and hard to form, I think. Well, some habits are easy to form, like, I mean, I don't know, cigarettes or whatever, right? But how do you maintain that habit? How do you stay in the habit of having that habit? I mean, is it really all mindset? How does mindset play into this, adaptation of a lifestyle that has, more slow motion, better posture, better breathing? What are the mindset? I mean, are there like mindset exercises that you can do to help you in this path, or?
So the first thing, and the way I kind of sequence things in the book is, first of all, make a decision that you want to learn more about your mental physical well-being. So that's the first thing is, oh, I think I'd like to do something different. Some people don't care. They'll not listen to our conversation. They won't be interested in my book. The next thing is, start developing mindfulness, which simply means what you've already demonstrated, becoming aware. Like, you are now aware when you're slouching. You're aware when something is stressing you and you're going into whatever crazy mode that we go into when we're stressed. So you become mindful. Now you start learning some techniques. I've learned a technique for sitting up straighter when I find myself slouching. I've learned a technique for slow, prolonged exhalation. And I'm going to repeat what I said before, and that is, when your body feels something that's beneficial, it feels good to you, it's automatically, I believe, the habit is going to just evolve. You're not going to feel as good in your slouching habit. So it's a more, what's the word I want? Oh, organic. I think the word organic, you've used it before. Yeah, a more organic evolution of better posture. Stacy, my publisher, she introduced something interesting in my book, which was different from what I'm saying. And her suggestion was, for people who needed something more structured, pick one of the techniques, pick the posture, the alignment technique, spend a week consciously working on that. Take the breathing technique, maybe take another week consciously working on that. So you get to choose, depending on your way of learning, how structured you need to be for changing your habit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, everybody's different, and there's no one size fits all, approach to this. I don't think. I just know that it's because I mean, again, our audience is people who are 60 plus, and mostly in North America, I assume. Although I got an email, I'm like number 78 in health and fitness in Iceland. So like this podcast is moving up the ranks, at least internationally.
And by the way, for all your Iceland listeners, we were there on our vacation. I just had to go there, and we just loved it.
Right. Well, obviously
Iceland.
They're very smart if they're tuning into 60 plus uncensored. But most of our people, I don't think, are in Iceland. I think they're mostly North American, if I had to guess. And this like our health and wellness is frankly just atrocious here, right? And so like I think that well, because look at like our cardiovascular disease, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of illness here in the United States, diabetes, right? I mean, like it's rampant, right? And a lot of that comes from like decades of like bad choices. But I know that there are a lot of people who, especially when they retire, they don't have to like get up at a certain time, Monday through Friday, and report to work. They do have time to work on themselves. But I think that a lot of people just feel like there's just no hope for them, right? There's just I can't teach an old dog new tricks. Is it possible, do you think, to teach an old dog new tricks?
I am so glad you said that, because my late father-in-law, may he rest in peace, had serious need for physical therapy. And one of the things he did was he shuffled when he walked. Now, he lived to be 90 some odd years old. He shuffled when he walked. But if you told him to pick his feet up, he could. But he really, and of course I was the one always encouraging him to do that because I knew he could. And one day he said to me, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. At which point I went on to YouTube, Seb, and I've got a video, at least one video of an old dog being taught a new trick. I will also tell you from personal experience that I have worked with some very senior people. And even if it's simply sitting them up straight and just teaching them to do conscious breathing, no matter what age, if the mindset is, at least I'll try. Oh, can I tell you a story? Do we have time?
Yeah, we love stories. Keep us
Okay.
entertained with some stories here.
Yeah, so this has to do with the words we say to ourselves, our self-talk, because that relates to mindset. If you have the mindset of I can't, you won't. So a woman, I would guess about 90 some odd, was wheeled into the physical therapy department where I was working, happened to be at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles. And this woman was hysterical. Before I said anything, before we did anything, she was crying out, I can't, I can't, I can't. And here I had her in the parallel bars. I think everybody knows what parallel bars are in the rehabilitation department for helping stand up. And as a therapist, I have all kinds of strategies. I could be very sweet. Come on, sweetheart, you can do it. Very loving and gentle. And I can also be very we're going to stand up and we're going to do it now. And no matter what strategy I used with this woman, I couldn't get her past, I can't, I can't, I can't. And she's crying and screaming. So I gave up and I said to her, you win. I am not going to try to stand you anymore. I'm going to let you go back to your room. And I promise, because I didn't want to destroy the trust. I said, but I do need you to say the words, I'll try. And of course, I got some more I can't, I can't, I can't. Just say the words, and I promise I will let you go back to your room. And eventually I heard this little whisper of, I'll try. I said, okay, I'm going to keep my promise. And I went to unlock the brakes on her wheelchair. And I was going to let her go back to her room. And I said, well, would you like to try? And she shakes her head yes, gets her hands on the parallel bars, stands up. I barely helped her. She walked the length of the parallel bars, turned around, walked back to her chair, turned around and sat down. And I tell you, this happened back in the late 1970s. I still get goose pimples when I tell the story. Because if anything shows the power of our self-talk, going from I can't to I'll try. And even more powerful is I am, but I wasn't going to do that on her. I am walking. So I don't remember what prompted that story, but there it was. So powerful.
Yeah, that is powerful. Well, I mean, I have it's not a personal story, but I read this in the newspaper. How many years ago was this? I mean, like 5, 10 years ago. Hard to say. They all blend together. But it was a story about a World War II veteran, and he was in a wheelchair, and he was going to receive a commemorative award or whatever for being in like D-Day or something like that, and he couldn't walk. He hadn't walked for like 3 or 4 years, and then he went to a physical trainer, and then he trained him out of his wheelchair just in like a few months, to the point where he could get up and walk across the stage and receive his award, right? And then he just kept on walking, right? It's just. Like I see people like driving around like in Larks, those little, motorized scooter things, right? And they're like
Okay.
50, I'm going like, man, that's so sad. Like, why are you doing this to yourself? Because most of them probably could walk, right? And it's just like, they are just accepting, accepting a bedridden future, essentially, right? A greatly shortened life and a much lower quality of life, when all you got to do is just put your mind to it and walk, right? Just keep on walking. Don't stop, right? Because like life is movement, right? I mean, like if once movement stops, that's what death is, right? I mean, like life requires movement, and if you're not moving, you won't be around very much longer. So Also, you,
Oh,
you say basic moves and slow motion are part of the five tenets of the book, right?
yeah. The those are the five components of the eight. What I now
Components.
call the ABC mind body system.
So
Yes.
what are the basic moves that we should be doing?
Well, I'm not going to. I don't really have space, and we're not doing a full body training here.
No,
But
no, we're
it's
not.
actually, but it's really just learning correct technique for squatting, because people think that a good this is going to sound really funny, a good squat, uh, uh, right, that squatting involves just pressing your knees forward and bending at the hips and knees. What a correct body mechanically correct squat is, your hips go back as you go down, or maybe if you think of, if you are squatting, having to squat in the woods, or if you think of football players in a huddle, they do a correct squat. The butt kind of goes back, and the knees stay behind the toes, ideally. So if any of the listeners is going to practice their squat technique, they want to think about having the hips go back as they go down, and have the knees stay behind the toes, not go forward to the toes, which tends to stress the knees. So that's the first basic move. But then, after people have gotten the correct squat technique, now can they shift their weight while they're in a squatted position? And this evolved when I would do the trainings for back injury prevention for nurses and nurses' aides, because the largest number of back injuries, the statistics are people in healthcare, nurses' aides, are the ones most prone to back injuries. And mostly it's because they have not learned to squat correctly, weight shift, and then after you've weight shifted, if you're transferring a patient or having to move an object from one place to another, you need to be able to get correctly squatted, get the object close to you, pivot around, and do it, correctly. So the basic moves is a series of squatting, weight shifting, and being able to move around using correct body mechanics.
Just those two, squatting and like shifting your weight. That's
Well,
that's
wait.
the basic moves.
Well, there were four of them, because then you have to be able to step around in a squatted position. It's in the book. The difference.
But that's it,
Phases.
squat. So like I should be
Well,
doing squats.
essentially,
So I mean I can do squats. I can do a squat. And so you're saying that I should make that like a daily habit, is like doing squats in the morning or afternoon or evening.
Learning to squat correctly. So as you are having to do chores, shopping, having to move, lift, or carry something, learning how to do it correctly so that you don't strain your back. So the basic moves also relate to the principles of safe body mechanics, which include trying not to do a combination squat and twist and bend. This is so hard to do when I'm sitting.
Yeah, but I got you. I got you. And so I think probably we could all go onto YouTube or whatever and find a video.
Yes.
Do you have a YouTube channel, by the way? Do you teach this on YouTube?
It's to be developed.
To be developed. Okay, well, I'm going to
To
tune
be
in for
developed.
that. That's for sure. Okay, but then, okay, so that's a basic move. But then slow motion. Do you squat slowly? Or what's the slow motion part of that?
The whole idea behind slow motion is, first of all, it allows you to be mindful of what you're doing. So if you are, especially if you're taking on a new task, not rushing through it, and mostly because the book is geared towards older adults, I use the example of going from sitting to standing, standing to sitting. Doing that in slow motion or slowing down actually works to increase the strength of your sit and stand muscles, which are critical for safe aging. I believe there is actual research that shows that a person's ability to sit and stand independently, without needing a lot of help, is directly related to safe aging. And so oh boy, what I recommend for strengthening, so slow motion is useful for strengthening if you're standing. Like if you were to do it, Seb, if you're standing and you slowly go to sit down in your chair, a lot of people, you'll notice they plop into their chairs. And that's usually because there is weakness in the leg muscles, the leg and thigh muscles. Using a slow motion technique, they can actually start developing strength. So those are at least two of the benefits of slow motion. One is that it can be used for strengthening. It can help by doing an activity like sitting and standing in slow motion. You can also be working on your balance. And of course, there's the mindfulness that you become. If you're doing something in slow motion and it starts feeling uncomfortable or unsafe, you can reverse it and stop yourself. So those are some of the benefits.
Gotcha. So you're talking about squats and, we were talking about Tai Chi and Pilates earlier. And one thing that you hear a lot about in terms of like healthy aging is like cardio and resistance training. So does your book have talk about that at all? Or is that not important to live like you?
It's very important. As a matter of fact, I work with a trainer now. I actually jump rope and increased my bone density, but that's another story. No, strength training and resistance training, it's all important. What I try to do is give people more of a foundation that they then integrate into their other programs. Plus, there are other contributors in the book. I put a lot of attention on the feet because I believe people do not pay enough attention to the role their feet have in balance. And since the book is geared towards older adults, balance is a big concern. But people need to realize and start treating their feet with more respect and learn how to develop their ability to help in balance. And then there's more issues related to preventing falls. There's a contributor related to aging in place. If we had met before, you'd be in my book. You'd be one of my favorite things. Yeah, absolutely. So the book is not just what I try to give as a foundation for safe, effective movement, but also other considerations for primarily the older adult or the person who works with them and wants to help the older adult age safely, wisely, and well. Seb, if we have time, I wanted to. There was one other element in the book that relates to mindset. And I told you I like using ABC systems because they make an easy way for people to remember things. The ABCs that are geared for mindset are attitudes, beliefs, and commitment. And so there I just encourage people to take a look at their attitudes. What are your attitudes about health, about your own health? What are your beliefs that might actually limit you? Well, women shouldn't do that. So you take a look at your different attitudes and beliefs, see which ones are constructive and produce positive results, which ones may be counteractive to you having a better health condition. And then you choose whether it's an attitude or a belief you want to keep. If there's a habit that you feel you want to change, or maybe it's a good habit and you want to develop it even more. So that's another set of ABCs that get talked about.
All right. Well, I want to talk about you, actually, now that we've gone over your book a little bit, because, you're out there doing stuff, right? I mean, you are making things happen. I mean, you're 81 years old and, you're carrying on as if you were 51 years old. So, what is it that makes you want to exert yourself? Like, why aren't you on a cruise ship in the Bahamas right now? Like, what gives you that passion, that fire to be doing what you're doing right now at such a high level?
Oh, ooh, I just got goose pimples. I think what I would tell anybody, and what I guess gives me life and energy, is finding your purpose. And whether your purpose is to educate and train people in how to move and think more positively, or just to be there for your grandchildren. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but just having a purpose. And so mine seems to be making a difference in whatever way I can. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's
Well,
what's there for
actually,
me.
so it does answer my question because so I was talking to these guys at this home care agency, right? And he said, well, the thing that is different about us than everybody else is that we give people a reason to get up in the morning, and it's not just to keep breathing, right? We want to make sure that you have a reason for living, right? And but you have more than a reason for living. It seems like, right? I mean, like your reason is you really want to help other people live a good life. I mean, you're kind of like a
Yeah.
poster child for that.
It's interesting. If I go into if I guess if any one of us goes into the psychology of why we do what we do, I so this is going to be a little psychological insight about me. The fact that I couldn't make a difference for my brother or even my girlfriend. I mean, I could be there for them, but I couldn't fix, what genetics did for my brother, what polio did for my girlfriend. I think choosing a career where I could put my hands on somebody and fix, make a difference. And I guess it's just always there. Um,
That's interesting. That is a key psychological insight. You are trying to help people who are in similar situations to your brother and your girlfriend. And you know what? I mean, we're all kind of in that situation, all of us, right? I mean, because we're not gonna we're going to have infirmities and challenges all throughout our life. And the question is, how do we, you know, deal with those and keep on growing essentially? Because it seems like you're still growing, right? I mean, earlier we were talking about, you're into brand builders, right? I mean, like I said
you want to
brandbuilders.com or whatever. I'm not sure what the URL is for that, but I mean, like you're still,
yeah, brandbuilders.com, right.
yeah, you're still out there doing it, right? You're still out there growing, right? I mean, a lot of people would be packing it in at your age. I
Well, there's
mean,
there's
they
another
would they
one.
would they wouldn't want to be. I mean, they're like, oh, that's exhausting. I don't like, why bother with this? But like you're like the exact opposite of that.
It gives me energy, and I will also mention there's an organization called Landmark Worldwide. You may or may not have heard of. They've been around for a long, long time. And back in '92, I did their foundational course, which is called the Landmark Forum. And
Yeah, that's like
since
est,
then I've
right?
gone. Say that again. That
That's
was
like est.
it evolved from the technology of Werner Erhard. I didn't know him. I wasn't part of that. But their work is all about helping us uncover the things that may limit what we see possible in ourselves and uncover what we're committed to in life. And so I'm actively taking trainings with them also.
Are you really? So I
I
did
am.
something like that many years ago. Gee, how old was I? I was probably I was probably 30, 31, 32, and it was called, what was it?
Life
Actually,
Spring?
no, it was run by this guy, and he basically I mean, it was very like landmark est, adjacent, essentially, very,
Yeah.
very
Yes.
similar experiential thing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you had to be in the room and feel the emotional resonance. You couldn't be like on a Zoom. I mean, there wasn't Zoom back in the day, but you couldn't like phone it in. You couldn't listen to a tape. You actually had to be there in order to get the full impact of like what was happening in the room with everybody. And that was very powerful. And what I took away from, I said many things I took away from that really altered my life significantly. And is that it really is all in your mind. Like everything is in your mind, right? Like whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
You're right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that is super powerful. So that's interesting that you were doing that. That is so cool. I should check into Landmark because I heard about it several years after I had taken this
We can
class.
talk. I don't know that you want to talk right now as part of this interview, but certainly we can talk.
Well, maybe we can talk again about Landmark or whatever, right?
Okay.
If you want to, I'm happy to because I don't know about Landmark, and I'd have to go back and see now. I can't even remember what his thing was called anymore, but it was like a small workshop that he did, and he's probably still around doing it. But I would be very interested in
Sure.
learning more about Landmark. So because it all is mindset. It all is mindset. I really believe like that, like the veteran who started walking again after at 99 years old or whatever it was, across that stage. The lady you were talking about who got up off her wheelchair, right? It really is mindset, and everything. Your whole entire reality is just like right here. What's that famous book? I can't
Think
think
and
of
Grow Rich. I don't
Think,
know.
yes, Think and Grow Rich. That's exactly
Because
it.
the word
Yes,
thinking.
Think and Grow Rich. That's his whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Just think about it. Like basically, it's manifestation. But whether or not you believe in manifestation, the truth of the matter is that if you can think it, you can probably make it happen some way somehow, right? And if you think you can't, then you probably
probably
never
right.
will. Yeah, and so it's really incredible. Well, this is a whole other topic, and unfortunately we're pretty much out of time for this one. I feel like we could talk about this topic also for another hour or so.
Yeah.
But Vicki, I wanted to thank you so much for joining us here on 60 Plus Uncensored. It has been a thrill. But before we wrap it up, is there anything that I didn't ask you or that we didn't talk about that you really feel it's important for our listeners to know?
No, I just want them to feel free to reach out to me if they go to my website. I don't know that they're going to have access.
It'll
Or
be
if
in the
it's going
show
to be put
notes.
out. Okay,
Of course.
yeah,
Oh yeah. Thera-fitness.com is your website.
yes, and I want people to feel free to reach out. It's not always about costing money to speak to me, and I love when people reach out, and I love to know if anything I've said has made a difference for them or if they have questions. So that's something I really welcome from listeners, and of course I invite them to get the book. I think it can make a difference for a lot of people.
So on your website, there's a contact button I see right here. Is this the best way to get a
Yes.
hold of you? Is to go to the contact page and fill
Probably
that
easy,
out?
yes. And the other reason for going to the website is there are a few freebies on there related to stress reduction. So I think they'll find some interesting material there.
All right, and you have a blog too. Oh, you haven't updated your blog in a while, Vicki.
No, I have
Shame,
not.
shame, 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 shame. Not that we're about shaming people here, but shame, shame, shame. All right,
Oh, yeah.
okay. Well, Vicki, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I appreciate it, and I will catch you on the flip side.
Seb, thank you so much. It was an honor and a pleasure and fun.
All right, that's a wrap for this episode of 60 Plus Uncensored. Huge thanks to Vicki Gold for setting the tone with such honesty and insight. Now, if you like this episode, do me a favor, do Vicki a favor. Hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share it with someone you know who needs to hear it. Oh, and by the way, if you know someone over 60 who's still out there doing big things, living boldly, working with purpose, or just aging on their own terms, I would love to hear from you. Reach out at team60plus.com or join the conversation at 60 Plus Living on Facebook. I'm Seb Fry, and this is 60 Plus Uncensored, because as we're learning, life after 60 isn't the end, it's just getting good.
Subscribe now.